For this video, I'm going to talk about transferring data, use Azure Storage. So transferring data to Azure Storage accounts, you have the Azure Import/Export service, and this can be used to securely import large amounts of data to Azure Blob and Azure File Service. And here you actually store the data that you want to transfer on your own drives, or you could use disk drives that are provided by Microsoft. You then ship the drives to an Azure data center, and the data from the drives are then imported to Azure Blob or Azure File Storage, from their workers there. And you can also use this service to export data from Azure Blobs. So the steps involved are first downloading the WA Import Export tool to copy data to disk drives, and the disk drives need to be encrypted with BitLocker. And then you need to create an import job in Azure, and here you need to associate the job with an Azure storage account. You also need to upload the drive journal files to the job, and then you also need to mention the return address and ship the drives, and then you ship the drives to the Azure Data Center. Now, another way to transfer data to Azure storage account is the AZ copy tool, and this is a command line utility that can be used to copy blobs or files to or from a storage account. And this tool works on Windows, Linux, Mac. Another way of transferring data is the Azure Data Box. It's similar to the Azure Import/Export service, but here the device itself is sent to you for storing the data is the Microsoft provided appliance. So you can have a small data box of like 100 terabytes, or that's a big one I guess, or like a data box disk of like 8 terabytes, or data box heavy, which is 1, or you can have 1 petabyte. So that's a lot of data. And another way to transfer data is the Azure Data Factory. This is a cloud service that can be used to perform ETL, which is extract, transform, load, or ELT, extract, load, transform, and data integration projects. In the Azure Data Factory service, you can author various types of activities. So some key components are the data set. This is a source of data that can be an on-premise file server, an SQL database server, Azure SQL database server. You just define a linked service that is used to connect to the data source. And then you define the activity. Examples of activities are ingesting data, cleaning data, whatever. And all these activities then run as part of a pipeline. So those is like an overview of different ways of transferring data for a storage account.